Roland, one of the big debates in town is the Democrats say just simply have a heart, extend these unemployment benefits, and then we'll worry about everything else. But a lot of Republicans say, I want to have compassion, but not if it adds to the deficit. Show me what we'll cut.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you sit here and say that we're not going to give extension of the tax cuts to those people who are, frankly, the 1% wealthiest in the country, you can also do that. The other issue that really jumps out when you look at these numbers here, and that is we see that they're down when it comes to charitable contributions. People complain about food stamps and talk about Section 8 housing. And so if you take away these extensions, then what do those folks do? They are going to go for those very same social services. So you're going to be paying for them in another area of the government as compared to extending unemployment benefits.
Eric, why can't we know we're in a partisan environment. We know there are big, legitimate philosophical differences about tax cuts and about government spending that are real policy differences. But why can't everyone come together at a time like this and say, here's something we're going to agree on in the short term at this holiday season so that people out there know, okay, we're going to get you through Christmas, we'll get you into the new year, and then we're going to maybe go into a room and fight some things out. But let's help you first.
They'll pass them. I don't have any doubt that they'll extend unemployment benefits. It's brinksmanship on all these other issues. Both sides are playing it. There are real philosophical issues. There are many conservatives who think we can't just keep extending unemployment benefits, but they're going to get extended. The issue, though, is the flat line on unemployment in the recession. The stimulus was supposed to help. All these other things were supposed to help, and yet they're not. The Democrats, after the defeat on November 2nd, said it was the message, but, well, the policy seems not to be working either, looking at the line.
John, also, let's also remind folks something here. When Eric talks about the stimulus not working, a third of the same stimulus package was tax cuts. And so when you hear Republicans say tax cuts is the answer, wait, Eric, 1 second. When you hear Republicans say tax cuts is the answer, a third of that was tax cuts, and people also assume that nothing actually even happened when it came to tax cuts in there.
Tax cuts, though, because they were quote unquote tax cuts for working Americans. Most of the tax cuts they were taking credit for were for people who don't pay taxes to begin with. Look at the Ronald Reagan recession from 1982, terrible with even higher unemployment. They got out of it much quicker because of the stimulative free market policies that Ronald Reagan put into effect, as opposed to all the government spending. The Keynesian economists that are out there running the show right now are clearly failing.
Well, one of the debates now, there's obviously the president can't get, even if he wanted to propose one, another big stimulus package through the Congress. Not going to happen. A lot of Democrats wouldn't vote for it, and the Republicans are about to take control of the House. So what they're debating now is these Bush tax cuts due to expire at the end of the year. The Democrats want to say, well, let's draw a line. Maybe it's at $1 million. That's the Senate Democratic proposal. Anyone above that would pay higher taxes. Anyone below that would keep the current tax rates. In the House, they just passed a plan. $250,000 is where they draw the line. Here's Claire McCaskill, Democratic senator from Missouri. Noteworthy to note, she's up in 2012 saying, why won't the Republicans support us on this one? And then again, we'll keep the rest of the fight going down the road.
If they think it's okay to raise taxes for the embattled middle class because they're gonna pout if we don't give more money to millionaires, it really is time for the people of America to take up pitchforks.
Now that's a great line, and Senator McCaskill is a good feisty partisan. But here's the truth: if you're watching at home, it's all a charade, and I'm not blaming the Democrats. It's what the Democrats is doing is charade in the Senate and the House. What the Republicans have done, saying we won't vote on anything until we get our way on taxes, is a charade as well. They know, Roland, they're negotiating a deal. There's going to be a deal in the end, but they want to have all these votes in the meantime, so that when somebody runs for office down the road, you can say Senator Roland Martin voted against these taxes. He's an enemy of the middle class.
I talked to Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia, and he said very simply, we can't even afford these tax cuts for the middle class. What you hear none of them talk about is that these very tax cuts will contribute some $3 trillion to our deficit. And so nobody likes to criticize the middle class, obviously. Also, I love this whole notion how the middle class keeps moving. You know, it's all of a sudden 250 and 500,000 and $1 million, when really 1% of the top wage earners in America earn more than $250,000. So to me, that's not middle class. And so it is the game, but I do believe Democrats should draw a line. If they absolutely believe that we cannot afford above 250, don't even bother trying to go above that, and tell Republicans, you want to vote against 95%? Go right ahead.
Can the Republicans hold firm on this one, Roland? If you look at the polling, a CBS poll, continue the Bush tax cuts for all, 26%. Continue for households at $250,000 or below, 53%, and expire for all, 14%. So the majority of Americans on the basic question, NA, are with the Democratic position. Can the Republicans hold firm?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're going to. What Republicans understand across the board is that while the Democrats call them tax cuts for the rich and tax cuts for the wealthy, in fact, it's tax cuts for job creators. There's never been a poor man to write a paycheck or start a business. It's people who make over $250,000 a year or $1 million a year. Looking at Bob Menendez, Chuck Schumer, and Claire McCaskill there, they've had government jobs for so long, none of them have run small businesses. They don't get it.
Well, John, I need to add this here. I talked to Austin Goolsbee today for my TV One Sunday morning news show, and here's the thing that you also have to recognize. Those who are under $250,000 traditionally are the ones who are doing more of the spending. Those who are making above that typically are saving that very money. And so when you look at consumer confidence, businesses want people to be spending more. And so you would think that you will want to put the money in the hands of those more likely to spend as opposed to those more likely to save.
But those who are saving the money are largely saving it because of the uncertainty over this debate. They would love to be plowing this money back into businesses and hiring people, but not if the government's going to take it.
But all of those making over $250,000 are not business owners. And Eric, you know that Eric, you know it very well. And people out there are simply saying that how can we sit here as a nation and save the butts of Wall Street and ignore Main Street?
Because you can't pick and choose who is and is not a job creator in that set. It would complicate the task.
Yeah, but you're assuming everybody is
across the board.
But you're assuming everybody is.
I'm not assuming everybody is. I'm just assuming I can't pick out the job creators from that crowd, but I know that's where they are.
Well, I want those who also are able to spend money, and also we talk about the people who are on the bottom. We're going to pay for them when you look at those food stamps and you look at Section 8. So watch those numbers increase, and then what Republicans, Democrats then say.